So this is the week in full where people are beginning to realize or admit that the so-called Biden administration, because of course Joe Biden ran nothing, was an unbelievable across-the-board act of drama. And giving credit where it's due to Alex Thompson and Jake Tapper, their book, while an unbelievable farce because both of them were involved in the cover-up, they were stars of the cover-up, they're still covering up for the Democrats on many other fronts, did unveil some things that was detailed to what we already knew. If you've followed the show for any period of time, since the figurehead was elected, I've refused to call him president because he never was. I've called him the figurehead for 4 years because that's what he was. I've consistently asked the question, who's actually running things? And more recently, it's occurred to me, who had the nuclear football? Because no thinking, decent person can think anybody who wants to live would give that guy the nuclear football. So this is the week that people begun now either pretending or admitting that they were surprised, admitting, oh, I didn't know. And the mockingbirds are shifting the targets. And, oh, look, no, the Democrats, they were mean. They fooled us. And you had the Democrats saying, oh, I didn't notice. I didn't see anything. But it was all pretend. All of it's pretend. They're the scripted conferences and cabinet meetings. Did anyone think otherwise? That the figurehead was capable of running these meetings? So it's across the board that this is the case, and we can see this again. There is a fascinating Mockingbird media headline that pretends that President Trump is somehow equal to the people in South Africa who are ending the lives of white people. They ran this headline saying, when President Trump was stealing farms. And they're pretending it's the same thing. They were talking about eminent domain and President Trump's wall. And of course, they're doing this because President Trump confronted one of the dramas from the left, one of the fake dramatic treatments from the left. There ain't no effort to end the lives, to unalive white farmers in South Africa. And I'll show you what the president did. It was utterly brilliant, utterly brilliant. I'll show this in a second. I have to remind you that we all have choices in life, and we can, of course, that cliche is vote with our dollars. It's true. For the rest of your life, you will clean your body, with your hands or your body, for the rest of your life. For the rest of your life, you'll buy soap from someone. For the rest of your life, you could support big companies that hate our values. They may make their products in China with slave labor, child labor, forced child labor, or you could buy from Allen Soaps. Allen Soaps exists to create brilliant soap. It's all natural. It's made in America. Absolutely no chemicals in it. But their mission is not that. It is to employ by choice kids who choose to work at Allen's because they can't work elsewhere, because the world won't have them, because, they're useless eaters. That's literally what these kids have been told about themselves. So go to allensoaps.com/Todd. Use promo code Todd. You get 10% off all their products. These kids get the dignity of work. They get the reward of work. And they get to know that all lives to us do matter. It's allensoaps.com/Todd. One of the biggest pretenses is there's no proof. President Trump has claimed without evidence that there's an effort to unalive white farmers. This was a stroke of brilliance on behalf of the White House as President Trump was meeting with the president of South Africa.
Turn the lights down and just put this on. It's right behind you, Johan.
The president of South Africa smiles at first.
Without you, people are going to occupy land. We require no permission from you, from the president, from no one. We don't care. We can do whatever you want to do. Who are you to tell us whether we can occupy land or not? We are going to occupy land. South Africa, occupy land. That's who we are.
A revolution demands that at some point there must be killing, because the killing is part of a revolutionary act. Shoot to kill, Gaza, kill the poor, the farmer.
They're saying unalive the Boer, the white people.
Shoot to kill, Gaza, kill the poor.
I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I'm saying to you, what's not called for the killing of white people, at least for now.
Now this is very bad. These are burial sites right here. Burial sites. Over 1,000 of white farmers, and those cars are lined up to pay love on a Sunday morning. Each one of those white things you see is a cross. And there's approximately 1,000 of them. They're all white farmers. The family.
President Trump claimed without evidence is the pretense. There's been a pretense in Demland, in make-believe, that President Trump is the one who is in favor of unaliving people because of their race or because of how they identify either with or without biology's support. It's a pretense. The entire Biden affair, the entire 4 years was a pretense on all fronts. Take, for instance, this. The Mockingbird media and their pretense that Joe Biden was running things, they aided in this drama. This is the Mockingbird media back in 2025, or back in, 2025. I mean, just a few months ago, beginning of the year. How were we supposed to know that figurehead Biden had any cognitive issues at all?
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was in the
It's clear what he's trying to say. I was in the foothills of, because it's one of his talking points. He's standing there with Ketanji Brown Jackson, a woman being put on the Supreme Court because she is black and a woman who pretended in a dramatic act, in a play, to not know what a woman is. That was a play. It was drama. It was scripted. Standing next to Kamala Harris, who during a cabinet meeting once said, "My name is Kamala Harris. I'm vice president. I identify with he, sure, and I'm wearing a brown dress." Because, of course, everybody watching is colorblind and gender blind. All of it was drama. But it's this week that suddenly you have people who are stepping up to say, "Oh, well, we didn't know," and "Oh, we're so strange to discover." And you have people who are beltway attachments, parasites, lifelong. Aaron Rupar responding to President Trump, what he did, and what he did with the president of South Africa, which was utterly brilliant. Aaron Rupar said, "This is weird. It's weird to get ahead of what the Mockingbird media was already pretending." There's no evidence. There are full-fledged documentaries on the unaliving of white farmers in South Africa that have been banned from YouTube. The minute they went up, they were banned. There was a woman who went there to go in person and talk to folks. She was doing a live stream that was taken down, and the Democrats pretend none of this is happening, but it's pretense across the board. Chris Van Hollen, one of the do-nothings in the Democrat Party in D.C., Chris Van Hollen, has been pretending to care about border policies.
Well, I can go on. I mean, there's other things here. We spent $227,000 for Big Cat's YouTube channel from USAID. We spent $14 million for social cohesion in Mali, whatever the hell that means. So I can go on and on. I got the list here, and there's more. I didn't even bring the whole list. In the case of El Salvador, absolutely. Absolutely. We deported gang members, including the one you had a margarita with. And that guy is a human trafficker, and that guy is a gangbanger, and the evidence is going to be clear. In the days to come, you're going to see who you went to defend.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman. Secretary Rubio has the floor.
Mr. Chairman, he can't make unsubstantiated comments like that.
Secretary Rubio has the floor.
Secretary Rubio should take that testimony to the federal court of the United States because he hasn't done it under oath.
So Chris Van Hollen is pretending to care about borders. He get outraged about the border, but not when Barack Hussein Obama was putting kids in cages. Because it was pretense. This is drama. All of it's drama. All of it's make-believe. All of it is, as the Beatles used to say when they're performing in Hamburg, Germany, Mach Schau, because that's what the shipyard workers said to them when the Beatles took their half-hour breaks during their 12-hour shifts. Mach Schau, Mach Schau. That's what this is. All of it. And Jake Tapper, during his soul searching, would do well to ask God to fully search his soul for when he originally sold out. Eric Swalwell. Sorry, don't know what that was. Eric Swalwell pretends to care about congressional oversight.
In jail for an indefinite amount of time, we can't trust them. So we have to do our oversight duties. And she was in the right to go and do that. And I promise you, there's going to be more unnoticed or unnoticed visits by my colleagues where they show up and they better be let in.
You pointed out
no one cares more about congressional oversight than a guy who is either sleeping with or attempting to sleep with a Chinese spy. That's pretense. He didn't care then. He doesn't care now. They're so pot committed to illegal immigration because that's the linchpin to them changing the Electoral College forever, that they have to keep this pretense. All of this has been drama. Jake Tapper and and Alex Thompson could write book after book after book about the drama. Patty Murray, who ran for office out of the separate country of Washington as a mom in tennis shoes, has accomplished nothing in terms of legislation. She has been voted, and I'm talking about by Democrat staffers. This was found out. She was voted by Democrat staffers the least intelligent member of the Senate. She pretends to care about chronic disease.
Senator, I want to point out that in 2021, at the beginning of his administration, President Biden submitted his budget on May. You know what? You made an accusation of me, and I'm going to answer it.
Okay, I appreciate
On May
that.
28th, he submitted his budget. So our budget. We're a new administration.
Okay, you can. Go
And I
down
also
that
want to
road.
point
I
out.
have just 2 minutes left. I asked you a specific.
I want to point out something, Senator. You presided here, I think, for 32 years. You presided over the destruction of the health of the American people.
Well,
Our people are now the sickest people in the world.
Seriously.
Because you have
Mr.
not done your
Secretary,
job.
Seriously. That is an
What have you
amazing
done about it? What have you
Mr.
done about the
Secretary,
epidemic
I am here
of
to
chronic
ask-
disease?
Mr. Secretary,
What have
are
you done
here in
about the epidemic
Mr.
of chronic
Secretary.
disease?
Do you know that the Mockingbird media pretended that RFK Jr. freaked out? They pretended he lost his mind. Patty Murray does not know the first thing about childhood obesity. And here's how unbelievably lacking in intelligence she is. She's willing to have pharma come in to give kids the prescription equivalent of meth to solve obesity. It's all been a pretense, except God doesn't give in the drama. He knows all the motives.